funny what 7 days of change. It was all good just a week ago. Shakur Stevenson, Top Rank, trouble in paradise. Shakur Stevenson tells Bob Arum he need to shut up. His next fight this weekend is his last fight under his contract, and he becomes a free agent. Doesn't look so good. So, Shakur Stevenson fights this weekend. You see the article. This already looks problematic. Boxing Scene, link in the description. They got a brand new article. And the article says, at contract's end, Shakur Stevenson says that Top Rank has stalled his career. So, you guys let me know just off of the headliner what y'all think. But that don't sound good to me if he's about to be a free agent. Now we'll take a look at some of this. The path to Shakur Stevenson's Saturday night homecoming versus Artem Harutyunyan, Prudential Center at home, Newark, New Jersey, has not been smooth. WBC champion will fight for the first time since he won the vacant title with Edwin De Los Santos. The fight was considered a snoozer by all accounts as they combined to land 105 punches. So that was like a career low for this division, forcing a flock of disinterested fans to leave the arena before the final bell. Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. People were leaving before Shakur's fight was even over. Stevenson apologized for his performance and later attributed his lackluster win to an ailing shoulder. But here's the thing. Shakur said his hand, he said he had a stomach ache or didn't feel well. And then now it's his shoulder. So it's like, which one is it? Stevenson's promoter ever since he turned pro was Top Rank, blah, blah, blah. So let's try to get to the good part. As the 27-year-old Shakur Stevenson enters the free agency phase of his career, he's looking to change his career stance by landing defining fights to cement his status to what he believes is the best boxer in the world. Now, peep this. Now it's about to start getting good. Whether or not his star will shine under the Top Rank lights remains to be seen. Now we're getting to the quote. Quote, Bob Arum is basically trying to say Top Rank or nothing, and basically trying to say that I don't have any other options but Top Rank. Like, go see the market and come back to us, Shakur Stevenson told Boxing Scene, adding that Arum is talking hot-ish. He keeps going on. I think Bob Arum should just shut up because he's not really even running his own company. I don't know what that means. Shakur has said this before, but this doesn't sound good. You know, he's basically saying that other people run his company and make Bob feel like he's in charge, but they're pulling the strings, I guess the matchmakers and the other people. Stevenson said he won't rule out a return to Top Rank, even though the company has started negotiations for a fight between Loma and Gervonta Davis, yet another opponent Stevenson desires. Top Rank can also present Stevenson with fights against Dennis Baranchuk, Ray Murataya, and Teofimo Lopez at 140, among others. Shakur says, quote, I don't know. I don't count anything out. It's a business at the end of the day. The same way Top Rank looks at it is the same way I look at it. If the business makes sense, then yeah. If the business doesn't make sense, then there's no point. I know my worth and understand it. I am not a kid anymore at 19 years old coming out of the Olympics. I am more so a grown man now, in that years to come is going to end up with one of the most legendary and best fighters to ever do it, and that's my worth, says Shakur Stevenson. He goes on to say, yeah, I was pleased up to how I started getting bigger fights, or getting bigger, like as far as notoriety. In that process, we were doing good, said Shakur Stevenson. Once I got to 135 pounds, everything kind of slowed down. I feel as though Top Rank could have given me the Kambosos fight like they gave Lomachenko, but they didn't do that. I felt that we could have put a little bit more pressure on Lomachenko to make the fight happen, but they didn't do that. When I got to 135, my notoriety got bigger, and then things changed. As Arum and company brace for a potential split, Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Eddie Hearn have shown interest in working with the James Prince managed Shakur Stevenson. But Stevenson could perhaps be better positioned to strike out on his own, land the fights he wants, like Terrence Crawford, right? Stevenson is adamant that his time will come and he will be willing to bet on himself against Harutnan. The buildup has been cool. Honestly, I've been enjoying myself in training camp. I'm not going to read all this about the fight. I'll do more on the fight later. I ain't looking to prove nothing to nobody. I'm looking to prove things to myself. I just want to show what 100% of myself can give. I'm ready for the big stage. As the lights get brighter, I get better and shine. I'm ready for anyone. It's the dangerous version of me right now. Hopefully we'll get one of these big fighters and they give me an opportunity. Now, it sounds pretty bad what's going on. Shakur Stevenson, I mean, I can't say what his next move is, but if he's telling Bob he don't run his company and Bob needs to shut up and talking like that, I don't know that he'll actually return to Top Rank, especially if he feels that in this phase of his career that he hasn't got what he wanted out of the equation. Now, here's the thing with Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson's a talented fighter. You know, stylistically, he doesn't necessarily scintillate. And that's just being real, at least given when he's fighting big punchers and guys that present a challenge. You know, he hasn't had those viral moments in some of those fights, barring maybe Oscar Valdez. So that's what's up. And whether you hate him, love him, Bob Arum, what he's saying about Shakur Stevenson is actually true. He says that Shakur Stevenson is not an entertainer like Gervonta Davis. He just did an interview with Cigar Talk, I believe, where Bob Arum said this. He said he's a good fighter, so it got to make sense. The business got to make sense to put Shakur in there with a Gervonta Davis. He's like, why would I put a Lomachenko in there with Shakur Stevenson when he'll gain more and make more money and pretty much be in a bigger fight fighting Gervonta Davis? Now, if Lomachenko was going to fight another Kambosos level person, then it would be a problem. But if Top Rank is trying to work with Al Heyman to get a mega fight between a guy like Gervonta Davis, who just knocked out a top-rated Frank Martin, who was unbeaten, never so much has been dropped, and he dropped the bomb on him and knocked him out, then I'm not mad. See, what would rub me the wrong way is if Shakur and Lomachenko were on the same roster and they weren't fighting like a Gervonta Davis. But anybody who fights Gervonta Davis is lit and is going to be a movie right now. So Bob Arum is totally right. It would be foolish for Lomachenko to not fight a Gervonta Davis, make more money, and overall, let's be real, the stock is very high with Gervonta Davis. So if Lomachenko were able to beat Gervonta Davis, then that would solidify himself more so than Shakur, who's coming off of, at the moment, a bad performance. Even if he does spectacular this weekend with Artem Harutnan, I mean, it's literally a guy who's not widely known by boxing fans, and he's literally coming off a loss to the guy that Frank Martin that Gervonta Davis knocked out. So we'll see what's next and what happens, but it doesn't sound good. And Shakur Stevenson, to me, he sounds a bit delusional, if I'm just being honest. He's saying that Bob Arum saying you could test the waters and this, that, and the third, but Bob Arum's a promoter. Of course he's going to say that. And according to Bob Arum, you know, you could say, oh, I don't believe Bob Arum, but Bob Arum, this is the quote I'm talking about. Bob Arum is basically trying to say Top Rank or nothing, and basically trying to say I don't have any other options but Top Rank. I don't think he's saying that at all. I think Bob Arum is aware that there's other people who would be interested in Shakur Stevenson, but he also said in a recent interview, Bob Arum stated that he talked to Eddie Hearn already. According to him, he said he's already talked to Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn said, I'm not paying Shakur, he's a talent, but I'm not paying him what you guys are paying him. And again, boxing is a business. You have to understand that. Shakur, he's talking about Top Rank stagnated his career. You signed with them. So nobody told you to sign with them. I mean, I'm not saying nobody on your team, but I'm saying this is the decision you made, so you got to live with the result. You didn't have to sign. Floyd Mayweather he went to the Rio Olympics to try to sign you, and you could have signed with Floyd or try to go with Al Heyman. You went with Top Rank. So you can't say they stagnated your career. You stagnated your career by even signing there, right? And then now when it didn't work out and they're not giving you the fight you want, it's a problem. And that's usually what happens. We've seen that. That's a good picture. We've seen that with other guys with Top Rank, like that branch out, the Cottos, the De La Hoyas, and of course, most famously, Floyd Mayweather. He said he had to buy himself out of his contract. Top Rank, the way they were promoting black fighters or moving his career, he had bigger plans and he bet on himself and it made a lot of money. The only difference is, I'm not going to say the only, but one of the big differences, Floyd Mayweather is a showman inside the ring and outside the ring. Shakur, not so much. Shakur Stevenson, he's almost very similar to his big bro, Terrence Crawford, where he seems annoyed, like he don't want to have to deal with media, and he's always talking about how the media is biased and, you know, I want to fight in the UK because American fans don't know boxing and they're casuals. And like, basically, if you're saying that his last fight was boring, which it was, then you're a casual and you don't know boxing. And you listen, some fights are good, some styles work, some styles don't. The Edwin De Los Santos fight, I don't care what none of y'all talking about, the fight wasn't good. You know, there's certain fights that have replay value. That is not one of them. I hope I'm making myself as clear as possible. It's not that to say that Shakur can't have a better fight or other fights have been, that wasn't a good fight, bro. It's just what it is. He can say whatever, his tummy ached, he had cramps, whatever. It is what it is. And it's funny because Terrence Crawford is your big bro, but Terrence Crawford, he's never in a boring fight. There's no one that can honestly say Terrence Crawford, he's boring. Crawford's a finisher. He has a mean streak, and styles make fights. Crawford is money. Crawford is fun as heck to watch from a boxing perspective. Shakur needs to work on that, like the killer instinct and the finishing ability. Even in basketball, some people complain about LeBron James, like, oh, LeBron's dope, but he don't got the killer instinct like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant had. So maybe I just feel like a lot of this young generation, they don't like the criticism. So as a result, they say it's everybody else's problem and you guys just don't know what you're looking at and stuff like that. But sometimes you need to hear the criticism for the crowd, and maybe there's something you could take away for it. As far as what's next, I also think it's very dangerous for Shakur Stevenson to be openly talking bad about Top Rank, yet you haven't even cleared your Artem Harutyunyan fight. Artem Harutyunyan has been fighting and training in the Top Rank gym, and you telling Bob Arum he don't run his company, you telling Bob Arum to shut up. We seen what happened to Manny Pacquiao in his last fight with Top Rank, where they sent him to Australia, and then when the fight was close, they gave it to Jeff Horn. So Shakur Stevenson, I hope he knows what he's doing, and I hope he has a flawless performance, because his last performance wasn't flawless. And if you have any level of trouble with Artem Harutyunyan and you're not able to stop him like you think you might be able to, because let's be real, Shakur is not necessarily known as a finisher at top level, you know, with the most power. So what happens if you get in there with Harutyunyan and he's durable and he's tricky and he's, you know, giving you some good work, and it's similar to your last fight? There's a lot of pressure. Shakur, one time, like, for one, it's a hometown fight. So some people have the hometown hijinks. Two, he's chip on his shoulder from all the criticism he received in his last fight with Edwin De Los Santos. So, you know, wanting to prove the critics wrong, you can make mistakes and things like that. Three, it's your fight before free agency. So you might want to be looking to make a big splash so you're picked up, or, you know, you would not want to have another like subpar performance, lackluster performance going into free agency, because at the end of the day, you know, that's going to hurt your valuation with the next company or your next deal. So I'm definitely tapped in to this upcoming Shakur Stevenson fight, because this is where champions rise, or this is where champions fall a bit short, because there's a lot of pressure on Shakur Stevenson. I don't care. His last performance, you had all these people, all these legends in your corner, and your last fight left more to be desired. And now you're about to enter free agency and you're talking bad about Top Rank. They could have the judges fix the scorecards. You know what I mean? Or, you know, just weird things can happen. We'll say it like that. Let me say it like that. Weird things can happen when you go against a machine. And I really don't think it's smart knowing, like, it's not like Shakur is a Wilder style puncher where he should be confident he gets an absolute knockout every time, or Gervonta Davis or Beterbiev or something like that. And he's talking bad about Top Rank and he hasn't even cleared his last fight with Top Rank. So in my experience in boxing, sometimes you would probably want to wait, get past it, make sure you win, make sure there's no funny business, and then talk what you need to talk. And I think that's the more sensible approach, but to each his own. Shakur can do whatever he wants. He's a grown man. I'm just giving you my opinion, but there's a lot of pressure on Shakur Stevenson this weekend because a lot of people are looking at it. If you don't knock this guy out, which Frank Martin came very close to doing, if you don't do it after all you've talked and all you said in free agency, you know, it's gonna be looked at as almost like a failure, to be honest, based on your last performance. Because you said you weren't healthy, now you say you're healthy. So a lot of pressure, people.